is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco. And now, your host, Kyle Yeomans.
84 days until the NFL draft. Another edition of the Draft Show. Zach Wolchuk alongside Voch Lombardi and our godfather, the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, as we hang out the rest of our crew doing excellent work there in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Oh, yes, we've got the East-West Shrine Bowl that's going to be tonight. Voch, you and I got the pleasure of going out there and watching practice firsthand. And then the Senior Bowl, we've been able from afar. Our guys are doing an excellent job. Kyle, Nick, Tommy, boots on the ground there, just absolutely crushing it. Bobby Belt's actually driving back early from a family vacation today to work the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight with the NFL Network. So we got our Draft Show tentacles all over this thing. This is going to be a fun show. We'll do, of course, Twitter on the 20 coming up on the other side. And then how about we do a little mock draft simulation? I want to do a 3-rounder. We can debate if we're the Cowboys, our own little Draft Show war room, how would we want to go about these 3 rounds?
I mean, this show's going to be 3 hours if we're going to be doing all
I was
that.
about to say, you don't realize what you just dug yourself into, do you?
Well, see,
Because he and I do a show last night. We talked about a player, I think, for 30 minutes last night.
Okay, well,
one
we might
player.
need to, concise our thoughts a little bit.
That's hard to do with this group.
And I'll try and keep it moving. I'll try and actually be a host today and attempt to be okay, I need you to make a damn decision.
Yeah.
We got 2 minutes on the clock here.
There you go.
All right, whose name are we putting?
If you could do that,
What's
you're
going on with the
good
card?
shape. Yeah,
I'll do this.
All right, Kyle, appreciate
3 hours.
it.
Yeah.
I got you, buddy. No problem, Voch. All right, let's get let's preview some Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl stuff. Obviously, Cowboys now have a new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, and congratulations to Will McClay getting that contract extension done. I mean, I've often said I believe Will McClay, the scouts here, backbone of the success that the Cowboys have had, being able to win 12 games over 3 years, being able to compete for division titles, the seasons of 2014-16. Will McClay has done an excellent job. Excited to get him in the fold, and now you're starting to get more of the staff figured out. Might get a feel for what do these coaches want, what do these coaches like. So as you're kind of keeping an eye now with all of that information, the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, who are some of the guys that have caught your eye that you're looking forward to see in the game?
Well, Zach, we need them. We need them because, when you listen to the Joneses, I don't think they're going to pay a whole bunch of money, So it would be great for Will and all those guys to get back to our first round winning ways. If we're going to lean on draft picks, we kind of got to hit on those picks. But what made Will and, Will's run special is when we hit on those 5s and 6s, when we're not even anticipating this guy being a guy. Like we get Jake Ferguson in the 4th or Bland in the 5th, 6th.
5th round.
Day 3,
and then
5th
Anthony
round.
Brown in the 6th round back in 2016.
Sneaky wins like that. So and Kyle Wolchuk and I want to call you Kyle. We was doing the Shrine Bowl, right? And the Shrine is different from Senior Bowl. When we just breaking down players and we're just going down the big boards there, the Senior Bowl is a lot of top 100 guys. There's some top 110 guys, but the Shrine Bowl is mostly day 3 guys.
Yes.
Right? So I would love it if the Cowboys really put eyes on that bowl game and really try to hit on those. And, Zach, we watched a bunch of great guys out there.
We did. I mean, we really got a look at some of the guys at smaller schools. Like Nick Nash from San Jose State, I talked a lot on our show. Like, my gosh, that dude seemed like he was winning every single rep that he took, the wide receiver who was a Triple Crown winner. And there was some good size as well that we saw from that receiver group. Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn was another guy that stood out. But I think the dude that we quickly fell in love with, and I know Cowboy fans are looking at, okay, how can we improve this offensive line? And I'd say as a consensus, the 3 of us probably are looking at the center group this year, not strong. Like last year, we had an abundance of centers we were talking about. A lot of good options. Cowboys end up taking my guy Cooper Beebe, who was a guard, but they kicked over to center. There was a player that I think really was turning heads, Millbury's own Thomas Perry, who is a Duke Manyweather special, D3 school, played guard, going to kick into center, and he's going against some massive defensive tackles. Nazir Stackhouse out of Georgia. Tonka Hemingway, South Carolina. And this dude is holding his own. Thomas Perry's kind of a name to be watching here from the East-West Shrine Bowl now at center.
And Zach, that's what it's really all about, because I didn't even know Middlebury was a school.
Me either.
And then we just see this guy and he's coming in. Oh, we got the Georgia kid Stackhouse over there, 350 pounds. And we just see Thomas the Tank is what they call him on the internet now. We see him quick setting and punching the hell out of people and moving his feet. And I go, hey, what's that helmet? I don't know what that is. We'll go down our sheet and okay, Middlebury. So now I got to sell my soul to find some Middlebury film. Yeah. But that was a great find by us. Or from Syracuse, right? There was about 6 or 7 Syracuse guys there. And our tight end, Oronde Gasson Jr.
Yes.
We just see the athleticism on him, jumping over guys, making plays, toe tapping in the back of the end zone. I ended up being a big fan of his. And now I'm like, hey, what we got to do to get that dude on our team? And something that I liked about practice is that he wasn't just superstar tight end out there. He was doing some team stuff, right? So we're doing punt return, punt gun and stuff because that's really what a day 3 player is. You're not just going to be a day 3 tight end and just be a tight end. You might have to go tackle and cover a little bit, So I was really impressed walking away from that.
What was the thing with the center, though? You talked about his ability to go against the big competition and handle the guys. Is the deficiency the only thing of where he played? Is that the knock on him? Or are we going to have, like you say, you're going to have to sell our soul to get film and kind of figure that all out? Obviously, he did good enough to get an invite to the bowl game.
Sure.
But if you had to say, okay, this could hold him back, is it just the school, or is there some ability or lack of that this guy has that you guys saw?
No disrespect to anybody, but if he was at a bigger school, you have some of the best coaches in the world, the best weight room in the world.
I swear I'm going to get that T-shirt made. What do you always say about coaching?
What the hell is coaching for, right?
What the hell is coaching for?
So it may be technique-based things with him, right? Like I said earlier, we saw a bunch of quick sets, but sometimes some of his quick sets, he was a little leany with it.
Yeah.
But he's with Duke Manyweather, right?
Yeah.
So
Duke will help him.
So Duke will just put a little bit of dust on him, and he'll be just fine in about a week or so. But I was just impressed by. I don't know what that helmet is. Everybody knows Georgia's helmet.
Right.
And we walked away going, damn, look what he did to the Georgia kid. And me and Wolchuk are just like, hey, look at this kid. And later on, people are tagging us, hey, look at this kid.
Yeah.
Look at this kid. And now he's hex bar deadlifting 720 pounds. And Dane Brugler's coming out with the clip from the angle that we didn't even see. Look at what he's doing to the Georgia guys there. So he's done his part. He's built his profile or whatever to where we know who he is, but now we got to watch the actual Middlebury film and watch him beat up on some accountants.
And see, I always learned this real quick. And Ron Wolf, the general manager, the Hall of Fame general manager, when I worked for him, small school kids, we always felt like you better walk on water. Does this kid have a chance walking on water, or is it going to be? I mean, because I haven't seen a center yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched the USC kid, and I just wasn't overly impressed by that. I haven't seen, like you mentioned, Monahan, I think is his name, out there at USC. Yeah. I haven't seen. Last year at this time, I think I had probably 3 or 4 centers already in the book.
Yeah.
So, if you're hunting a center, maybe I need this kid that can he walk on water? That's what you're going to have to, or is it going to be? It appears, listening to you guys talk about him, it wasn't too much for him.
No, it wasn't. I mean, he seemed like he was there for the test. Now 6'3", 317.
Yeah.
Physically, maybe it was, hey, is he a little undersized?
Did they miss him? Did somebody miss him recruiting?
I think they missed this
Middlebury.
Yeah. They absolutely did, because he proved he can hold his own against Division I talent.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
So they missed, and he academically was a first-team academic All-American, 3.96 GPA, molecular biology and biochemistry.
Might be too
Dude's bleeping smart. So I don't have a doubt he can make the calls at the line of scrimmage. But that's what's fun and what I love about these bowl games is kind of being able to find, here's a small school kid, and now you're up against like elite upper level competition. How do you fare? Thomas Perry was a big time winner from our practices there at the Shrine Bowl.
I don't know if he's going to be a combine guy or anything like that, but if he does go, then we'll get a better idea of how he's moving athletically and all this. And some teams will just draft you if you just move well and you just snap step and all this kind of stuff. If you just run these drills that they purposely put you in to look stiff, to see if you're stiff. If he's not stiff moving guy, then he'll just game there. But it'll always come back to, hey, this is what he did in this bowl game or the bowl practices, and then the actual game is being played tonight. If he goes out there and whoops up on some more people, because there's some fantastic tackles out there, for him to whoop up on. If he whoops those guys, then we go, all right, Thomas the Tank. He got the nickname already. Thomas the Tank.
So he looked like he did not look out of place.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He was walking on water out there at practice.
I like it.
He was walking on that water, but that Shrine Bowl water is different.
Shrine Bowl, it is different.
It's different than big water,
Now, the defensive tackles, the two that really, I think, everybody every day was just raving about Jordan Phillips, the defensive tackle out of Maryland. A lot of Cowboy fans are now like, hey, at 44, do you think Jordan Phillips would be in play? And then C.J. West, the defensive tackle out of Indiana. And one thing we know about Flus is he kind of wants a 3-tech, but also you're looking at maybe a bigger body, help stop the run here at defensive tackle. C.J. West is certainly a guy that's going to provide a lot of size in the middle of that defense. Might be also a name that you could be looking at, I don't know, 3rd round, C.J. West. Maybe he pops in the conversation there. But Jordan Phillips, he was winning every single rep. I don't think I really saw him lose during the practices we were at.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Brian is that we have to watch so much more film on these guys because this is a class filled with good moving 330-pound dudes.
Yeah, there is.
We're not in the trash can of dirt guys, world
It's
anymore.
a bunch of dancing bears these days.
It's a bunch of dancing bears now. So, me and Brian are just watching tackles. We kind of slowed down on them or whatever. Yeah. But if we have to revisit tackles just to find all the good moving fast guys, there's a couple of them. So we may have to get back, back into that.
You speaking of the tackle, and if you could switch it over from the East-West to the Senior Bowl.
Over to the Senior Bowl.
You're starting with, what Sanders from South Carolina, Norman Lott from Tennessee, Nolan from Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. These guys are all kind of showing up at these these practices and stuff like that. So it looks like overall it looks like a group that might be pretty deep.
It does, and I loved what Kyle did with the interview with Mike Green.
Yeah,
everybody's now jumping on the Mike Green hive. He's dominating Senior Bowl. I think now we'll get to Twitter on the 20. There's a lot of Mike Green questions that are flooding. He's been dominating. Jalen Royals is looking really good. The wide receiver as well. Tez Johnson. I know you wanted to have a little Tez Johnson conversation here. Wide receiver out of Oregon. Little bit smaller statue. Dude's an absolute blazer. Was the top target for Dylan Gabriel this year. With the Ducks during their number 1 ranked campaign until they lost to Ohio State.
He's not short, but he's slight.
He's skinny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's some guys there's some guys out here that are small. Bond, to me, is small, slight. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, is a blind spot for me.
Yeah.
And so 5'10", 160 for Dez.
Yeah, that's slight there for the weight-wise, though.
In the brand of football that you grew up with,
yeah, I knew. Here we go. Old man football. Here we go. Yeah.
In the
tell
40s,
me I didn't have a
60s.
face mask and all that stuff again.
This is what happened when he was in the league, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson was probably popular. Randy Moss
Hell
was
yeah,
popular.
He was.
So what
Herman
they did,
Moore, big old guys like that.
So every single player had to be like them. Quarterback was like that too. Oh, we need the big size.
We need an X.
This is new football, man. We have 160-pound receivers taking over the football game. Now, if this is a 160-pound role player, then fine. I can, we can bump him down the boards a little bit, right? But when we talk about that Tank Dell film, watching Tank Dell, watching Flowers when he was in Maryland, these are shorter, slighter dudes tearing it up. Yeah. So when I watch Tez Johnson from Oregon, I can just watch a couple of games here and okay, he's fantastic. UCLA, Oregon State, that's a cool game.
Yeah.
But when he played Penn State in a championship game, 185 some odd yards on 10 catches. Yeah. That's a little slight dude taking the game over for you. And I can see how he translates to the league. Now, of course, if a big man tackles him, he's gonna fly. Teach him how to slide. Teach him how to get down. But as far as being a yak dude, as far as being fast guy, laterally quick guy, I think he's a dude.
I agree with you. I have no doubts about that. What is it that scares you, Brian? Is it
because he's little?
Is it the injury risk? Is it maybe not winning outside?
It's the build. It's the physical nature that, and I totally appreciate what Voch is saying about the guy. I have just never had that ability. And like I say, and last night Voch and I did a show, and I read Tank Dell, and I read Flowers. He goes, what the F's your problem?
And he was smiling when he read those reports.
Right, because I remember 2 years ago you were saying you were having a lot of trouble with these receivers because of the size of these guys.
I do, and then but you see, but maybe I haven't seen enough of the Tank Dells. Maybe I haven't seen enough of the Flowers in all the years I've done this.
Yeah.
Maybe I've seen more of the John Rosses and guys like that, the smaller, fast, quick guys that haven't worked out.
See, that's the difference. When you get burned by like a John Ross or like a Jalen Reagor type guy, I think they're just run past you guy.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Hyatt is run past you guy. But I think what makes Flowers and what makes Dell and Johnson different is that they're
Dell is
sideways.
small. Dell is small. I mean,
they all small.
5'8". He is small.
But the footwork for Ted Johnson,
they are quicker sideways,
exceptional.
and they make people miss, and they create their own angles as ball carriers.
Yeah.
That's why Worthy works, right?
Yeah.
Because Xavier
absolutely.
Worthy is a run past you guy, but he works well sideways.
Sure.
I don't think Isaiah Bond works well sideways. These Jalen Reagors type, these Jalen Hyatts, these I run fast, but I'm vertical run fast. They don't
Straight
move well
line guys.
sideways.
Yeah.
Royals, Utah State, he works well sideways when you ask him to run sideways, and then he's physical and all that. So taking these run past you fast guys, I need one more change up with them. And Tez Johnson got a couple of change ups, and he can run routes.
I'm with you there. And is there anyone else from the Senior Bowl that you want to kind of shout out before we move on to Twitter on the 20? I mean, how about I argued with you guys about Ariante Ursery from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Sure. Right, my dude's holding his own, and I got to say, I was with you guys. He is heavy-footed.
Yeah.
But I loved watching his tape against Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I said on the previous show, like I just saw the adjustments throughout the game. He is fighting for his life early on.
Yeah.
You see him settle in. You see him battle back. I love the compete, the physical nature that he plays with. The run blocking, to me, is one of the best in the entire class, but the footwork looked pretty good for Ariante Ursery during those one-on-one drills that we got to see.
Yeah.
Have you guys thought about, again, I'm looking at Zabel from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Is he a guy that you're looking at as a tackle, or are you looking at him now as a guard that you've seen him play a little bit? I know on my board I have him as a guard.
I have him as a guard as well. And when I was watching him, I was thinking, because we always kind of hear about position flexibility. I know you've got a new take on this, but for the Cowboys specifically, I do think they value that. I think they like that, being able to put guys in multiple spots. And I watched Zabel, and I was thinking this might be a guy the Cowboys could really like. But I'm with you because he's played right tackle. He's played guard. I have him as a guard as his natural position.
I think he's better at guard, but it helps me put him at guard because he's not like small. Like he's not 300.
No, right.
You know, as opposed to our guy Bow from Purdue.
Right.
You see,
pound guy,
you see how small.
No, you do. You're right. Yeah.
I was watching his one-on-ones, and I'm a fan of his. You know, from what he put on film, but like his legs, they're like just so skinny. He kind of got pushed back a little bit, and that corresponds with the film that we saw. Right, he'll kind of get overpowered a little bit.
Milam too, though, didn't he? Milam,
he wasn't strong. He wasn't powerful.
For a big guy, you think, man, that guy's got to be stronger than that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were seeing at that. But like to me, the Senior Bowl in the East-West game, just part of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trust the 4 or 5 games that I get to watch and hope that, you know. But to your point about Ursery, the tackle from Minnesota, you know, maybe from the time that Minnesota ended their season to the time where he's now at the Senior Bowl, maybe he got with some people to work on his footwork.
And
maybe coached up a little bit to be a little bit better, because I did see a slow-footed guy on the tape in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, but he did. To his credit, his feet did look better at the Senior Bowl than they had on tape.
Was anybody else besides Milam, right, that you walked into the Senior Bowl going, I'm excited about him, but maybe kind of let you down a little bit with just what you've seen so far? Because Princely Umamenyelin from Ole Miss, I was ready for him to. All right, we got one-on-one. You ain't got to worry about the run. You get to run past people. I was ready for Princely to tear it up, and he hadn't really torn it up. Donovan from Boston College and Kyle Kennard there from South Carolina. They've been doing well. I've been proud of them, but Princely's kind of let me down a little bit.
I'll tell you what, the initial thought about Thomas, the corner from Florida State. I mean, I saw a really sticky. That's our guy's Wanye's brother here, and I really, really liked his tape at Florida State. Yeah. But there were a couple of reps there where, you know, on day one where there was separation. He didn't look like he was in very good balance. They kind of put him in the blender a little bit on some of the stuff. So that part of me, I think he rallied back yesterday a little bit. But man, I'll tell you what, I had him as a second round corner on my board. And so that was a little bit of a little bit of a shock to the system to watch them they kind of get separated on the way he did.
Well, Chuck, you mentioned our tackle from Oregon, Josh Connerly. Were you down on him just because Mike Green ran smack dab through the middle of his chest and made him horizontal in the air?
Look,
or is it like a whole bunch of reps you didn't like from him?
It's not a whole bunch. I've seen some where he's looked good, but I thought Connerly can push to maybe be the best tackle in the draft because I like the footwork. I like the athleticism that he's playing with. I think he does have some power to his game. I think he's one of the better pass protectors. I think you got a lot of guys that can run block, which is nice, and that's why you're looking at, hey, maybe some of these tackles can kick inside. But that was pretty brutal, seeing what Mike Green did to him, just making him look like a little ragdoll. But I've got Mike Green maybe as like the 6th best player in the entire draft on my board.
The whole draft?
Yeah, I love Mike Green. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. So for me, it's like I'm not stunned. I'm not stunned that Connerly got just destroyed by Mike Green, but I've expected a little bit more from him.
So let's just play a little game, Wolchuk. Mike Green from Marshall or Luther Burden from Missouri?
Mike Green.
Mike Green or Kelvin Banks?
Mike Green.
McMillan?
McMillan.
Okay, so you probably got Genty and Carter and then Mike Green.
Yeah, well, and I got McMillan over him too, yeah.
Travis Hunter too?
Yeah, I got Travis Hunter over him.
Okay, so he's about 4 or 5 for you. Okay, hey, Mike.
Travis Hunter's my number 1 player. I got Abdul Carter at 2. I got Genty at 3. I got McMillan at 4. I got Mason Graham at 5, and then I got Mike Green.
You got Mike Green pretty high, man.
I cannot wait till draft, the first night of the draft, and we're all sitting here and it comes down to Dallas's pick and who's the best player on the board.
It's gonna be the running back.
It's gonna be the running back,
and they'll take the running
back.
back.
And they're gonna. Do you think they'll take the running back?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. As we stand right now, Genty's there. I don't think they're passing on Genty, and honestly, they'd be foolish to, in my opinion.
Mike Green, your 5th best player. Take the running back, man. Take the running back, and I'm living.
You're going to argue Mike Green there at 12 if he's there? If it's Genty and Mike Green?
This is where I'm phony because size kind of makes me a little nervous, and it really depends on who's on the board for Mike Green. Yeah, it depends who's on the board though, right? Like if it's wide receiver or Mike Green, and look, also too, think about this. All of our favorite pass rushers are right in the middle of the 2nd round.
They're all there.
So you have to play give and take with what's available now that's not going to be available later. I'm really going to lie before wide receiver if wide receiver's there because I think wide receiver gets a little more slim. If I can live without Mike Green now, I can live with Donovan EZ from Boston College in the 2nd round. Or
who's also looked really, really good so far in the practice that we've seen. Okay, that's actually a good lead-in question. We'll get some Twitter on the 20 coming up on the other side as the draft show continues right here.
Here we go. Tyler from Dude Perfect here. Big news. We just dropped our very own Dude Perfect smoothie with Smoothie King.
We is strong. It's my recipe.
Technically, we all came up with it, Kobe.
I mean, you put a potato in yours.
I was experimenting.
Yeah, we picked up on that. Guys, this is fruit smoothie perfection. I even heard it recently quoted that it was food perfect.
Yeah, I was one that said that.
Oh, it was funny. It was punny.
Thank you. Anyways, get the Dude Perfect smoothie only at Smoothie King.
My smoothie.
Hi, Drew Pearson, former Dallas Cowboy and now Pro Football Hall of Famer here. If you're struggling with your vision and tired of those contacts and glasses, don't throw a Hail Mary. Go where I went. Laser Care Eye Center, the official LASIK partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Drew, thank you so much for trusting us with your vision correction procedure. At Laser Care Eye Center, we offer 6 different vision correction procedures to help patients see.
Check them out at dfweyes.com. Tell them Drew sent you. Hood hood.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Back here on the Draft Show, presented to you by Monster Jam. The most action-packed motorsports experience in the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium on Saturday, March 8th for Monster Jam. Get ready to cheer, scream, and be amazed as massive Monster Jam trucks take over Arlington. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. And now it's time for some...
Twitter on the 20.
20. Beamer's always on it, man. He's the best in the business. Okay, we got a lot of good questions here. Let's start with our guy, Mike Crum.
So, Mike.
Derek Harmon is my pet cat. Truly believe he could end up the best defensive tackle in this class. What are your guys' thoughts on Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon?
In this class filled with good moving tackles, he might be one of the better moving guys. High effort, pretty good hands. I think if you're a team that's looking for pass rush from B gap, I think that's definitely where you want to go. But he's not really lacking in power, so he brings both to the party there, and I think he has some pretty good run reps too. I'll disagree with my guy Mike. Shouts out to Mike with him being the best tackle, or him possibly could be the best tackle in this draft or whatever. But I got Derek Harmon pretty high on my board. He's a top 5 tackle for me. I got him in the second round.
Yeah, I got him in the second round as well. I mean, it's the problem with him is he gets a little tall at times at the way he plays, and that'll get him in trouble. Yeah. But you could line him up at a lot of different spots, and he could play well for me. Like the fact he did transfer from Michigan State, played there 3 years, and came to Oregon. But he's got some power to him when you watch him. Can be a little disruptive the way he plays.
He does. I mean, he flashes being a total game wrecker. It would not surprise me as well if he ends up being one of the top tackles in this class. But he's also the almost guy. Yeah. Like you'll see him get in the backfield.
Got to finish.
Just lacks the finish. But I actually have him as my second defensive tackle behind Mason Graham. I'm a big fan of Derek Harmon. I know Bobby would disagree if he were here. He thinks that he shows a little bit of maybe some laziness on tape. Like, does he get a little too tired, winded, that big body?
Bobby ought to watch tape on himself.
I would disagree. there
so
when it comes to Derek Harmon.
So you got Harmon over Grant from Michigan?
I do.
There's something wrong with y'all boys, man.
No, I mean, I like Grant. I've got it number 3.
Shouts out to you and Mike, though, man. Shouts out to you.
But I do love me some Derek Harmon. Okay, this is a good question from Matt Owen. You can pick one player from the Senior Bowl, one player from the East-West Shrine Game for the Cowboys. Who would you pick?
The best player from the Shrine Bowl is Gatson at tight end, and tight end is always something that the Cowboys are looking for. So if we can get him in day 3 somewhere, cool. And pick a player from the Senior Bowl. Mm-hmm. Give me your 5th best player, Mike Green. Would be good to go. Yeah, and if you want to go tight end, then Harold Fannin from Bowling Green is also at the Senior Bowl. So just to keep from having an easy Mike Green answer, then get you a tight end at either one of those places.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to me, what's interesting, maybe these defensive tackles you've got me talking about, though. That would be something I would look at there. I think in the Senior Bowl, Mike Green makes an awful lot of sense for what you're trying to do. Sure.
Yeah, I think I'll go Mike Green to the Senior Bowl. You know what? Give me Kobe Bryant, the corner from Kansas, out of the Shrine Bowl. Kobe Bryant, who I think is an absolute pest. That's Cobee. And if I'm saying you're a pest, I think that's a super compliment as a corner. He is an irritant, and I love the way that he plays. His play temperament to me. Big fan of. You can probably get him later. Some of these simulators, they've got him in like the 7th round. I'm seeing people post their mocks. Like, no way in hell is Kobe Bryant going to be there in the 7th round, right? We need to go ahead and adjust that. All right, let's get another Twitter on the 20 question from Christopher. This kind of goes back to a conversation we were having earlier. Assuming Genty is on the board at 12, who are some players that you'd consider picking over him if you're having the conversation of depth at running back, and maybe you can circle back and address that later?
We need some gas mask videos to come out on Hunter, Carter, McMillan, or Graham. Those are the only guys that I feel really good about, taking over Genty. Everybody
maybe
else,
Simmons if he checks out.
If Dr. Cooper says that Josh Simmons, knee is fine, then I would take Simmons. It really just comes down to, do you want to roll the dice on that second set of running backs being there for you? If you pass on Genty, and let's just say Caleb Johnson from Iowa goes like 29.
Yeah.
And then Hampton goes 42.
Yeah.
Now you're cussing everybody at the table out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When in real life, you should just take your guy, if that's your guy, and not window dress your boy like you've been trying to teach us for years, Brian, and just move. That'll be a doomsday type situation because now you're going, all right, do we have to overpay for one of these other running backs that have a 3rd-round grade on, or will that run on that group of running backs like Sampson and Harvey and
Henderson?
Well, if those guys go late too, before you can get back to your 3, oh, now we're doing the same exact thing we did last season, right? Where we're waiting for running back. Oh, they're gone. Well, we don't like that guy. Let's wait for this group of guys, and they never come back to you. So I would much rather be safe than sorry. If one of those top 5 or 6 guys aren't there, I'll probably feel better taking Ashton Jeanty. But if you ask me again next week, I'll change my mind again and wait on Hampton.
I do think there's a drop-off from Jeanty and these other backs. I know everybody just likes to assume, like, okay, it's super deep at running backs. You're good. You can circle back. But, Jeanty compared to Caleb Johnson, I like him. But he's not as good.
No.
Like, if you can have the best back in a class that we're saying might be one of the best that we've seen in recent memory, I think that also says something, too. If I'm getting the best back of a great class, that speaks volumes to how darn good that running back is.
I agree.
And he can help the offensive line. Okay, back to Twitter on the 20 questions. Your dream scenario, round 1, 2, and 3. Do you have any dream scenarios right now that you could just say, okay, I'd love, if I could come out of rounds 1, 2, and 3 with these sets of players, I'd be absolutely having a dance party.
Who asked this?
This would be Edmund.
What up, Edmund?
Edmund Dante.
Are we about to do this in a mock simulator?
We'll do a mock simulator, but I don't know if that would be our dreams. You want to save that and see if maybe we're able to
No, go ahead. I mean,
select that.
If I can walk away with a wide receiver, running back, and a D tackle, I can live with that. I can be pretty good. If not only do we get those guys, but I like them all, then I can feel good about that. If the Cowboys find themselves in some trade back scenario, we can add a guard or something like that, I'm really throwing a party. We're all going to Golden Corral if we can get four picks in day 1 and 2, but I'm not positive that we're going to be able to pull that off like we did last year.
Man, that's tough.
I'm trying to think about, okay, would I go runner, receiver, tackle?
This is the hard part, though, bro, because you can have your list, but a corner that you love could be there. So now you're looking at corner. You know
exactly.
Now you're looking at edge or something.
Yeah,
you know what
I mean? The depth I have at 44 potentially, but man, if we only got 12 to 15 first-round grades, all that second-round depth that I'm looking at right now is going to get picked in the first round. It's all going to be gone.
Man, I'm just going to throw this out. Now, I can probably change this about 10 different times. Give me Mike Green, give me Johnson in the second round, and then maybe I can get Zabel in the third. And I feel pretty good. I've got an offensive lineman. I got myself an elite runner, and I've got an edge to pair with Micah Parsons that I think is going to be a nightmare for teams.
Your new coaches on defense are going to cuss you out that we're not going to get any tackle help until round 5.
Yeah, they probably will. But, I mean, that's the issue with how many holes there are on this football team, right?
What's the emergency?
Some other position's going to be cussing me out.
You love Mike Green. I get that. I love him, too. I think tackle is an emergency. Defensive tackle is an emergency. I think you have edges. You may not be as set as you want to be at edge, but I think you looking at one tech in particular. I think you're looking at one tech like, man, we either gonna we're either gonna live or die by this.
You could be losing 2 in free agency. DeMarcus Lawrence, Chauncey Golston. How you replacing them?
Well, can we throw this scenario into this situation there? Sure. What do you think about linebacker? What if Walker could Walker from Georgia be in play at 12? See, your linebacking situation is pretty dire.
Well, I don't think Jalen Walker's a linebacker, so I'd be upset
either. I'd be looking at Jahad Campbell, and that would be a trade back scenario. I'd love it if he could get there at 44. I think that'd be tremendous value. But considering the lack of really good, and maybe Schlesinger from UCLA, could he end up being a guy that falls to you? I would have that conversation in the second round.
I just think that you got to start thinking about linebackers. Whether you think Walker's a edge or a linebacker.
I think he's an edge. I know you had, and I value that. I'm sure there's other scouts in the league that do think he's too short to be a full-time edge. And I just worry about, I don't know that he's athletic enough to be a sideline-to-sideline linebacker. I think he can get exploited very easily by offenses. If you
more exploited as a linebacker or as an edge?
I see as a linebacker because I think his best traits are as an edge.
I think And it's so weird for him. I think his best traits
Georgia, by the way.
I think his best traits are just simply moving forward.
I do too.
Because I think he has problems. Like if you just call it edge, I think he got problems at edge. Like maybe with his size or whatever. And if he's just at linebacker, I think he has problems with doing the linebacker things or moving backwards. But I think his best plays are just moving forward.
I'll tell you what, I think if you have some type of free agency limited around here, if you're going to play that game, you better be looking for guys like Eric Kendricks and
it's the year to do
people like that, because I've seen very, very few linebackers.
I tell you what, the conversation we're having here is why you'd have a lot of Cowboy fans that are saying because of all these needs, that's why you would punt on taking a running back early, and then maybe you're able to get an Ollie Gordon on day 3 of the draft if he's able to slide. The issue is that 4th-round pick, because I do think you're going to have a lot of these running backs, like we saw last year, that are just going to fly off the board in the 4th round. Do you need to end up trading up with one of your 3-5s to get back into that to make sure you don't miss on one of your dudes?
Better off probably, if they're going to do it, they're probably going to have to do it like they did with Detroit last year and try and get the extra in round 1. Just slide back and get the extra 3 and go.
I'm hoping somebody's watching Milroe and going, man, I got to get in that top 12 to get that guy. And
he needs to stop throwing interceptions.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I like, not named Sanders and Ward. I don't think there's quarterbacks that's really.
Okay, you think we saw Kyle McCord? And he really did impress me because I was not a Kyle McCord fan, but seeing him live, he was much better with his accuracy, ball placement, and his processing. I thought was impressive.
See, that next wave of guys, they're not going to help you at 12, right? But if maybe at the top of the 2nd round, somebody wants some of those guys, top of the 3rd, maybe. And then that helps us by bumping players down to 44 and 76 or wherever we're drafting. Then that'll benefit us there. But as far as quarterback goes in that top 12 or so range, I think that's just who we, that's who we have. I don't think there's a Bo Nix type situation.
Jackson Dart, maybe?
I don't know if Jackson Dart getting to 12, but I think people are going to like him.
I think you could be on it. You've been on Jackson Dart here for a few weeks.
Who you been talking to?
Nobody.
Jackson Dart.
You watch Trey Harris.
We all watch tape.
Jackson Dart.
You watch these SEC games. And you throw Ole Miss on there because you're thinking, okay, they've got weapons on the outside. Weapon at quarterback, and you see him making plays. I mean, you're watching that LSU corner the other day.
Sure,
Alexander. Watching him play, I'm watching Jackson Dart just dice up LSU.
I would hope the league loves him. I hope the league loves Riley Leonard and all these guys. Come up here and take them all and, help us out a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Just keep pushing down the good players. There are several center questions on here. We just don't think that there's really a ton of centers. As Tez Johnson, we're watching the Senior Bowl.
Look at Tez Johnson tearing it up.
It's the route running.
Whooping somebody's son right now. Look at
the quick fit, his ability to separate there was really unbelievable.
Look at that 160 pounds.
You guys act like I have him completely off the board.
You do. I mean, you've got him as an undrafted. It's the disrespect.
I'm a hater right now.
Let me ask one more here, Twitter on the 20, and then let's mock draft style. This is from Christian. Would you rather, at 12, Genty. At 44, Restrepo, the wide receiver from Miami.
Too short for me, right?
It's a little high for me, yeah.
Okay. Or Burden at 12, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame at 44.
I've got don't ask Voch because he hates safeties.
I hate safeties.
He hates safeties. Anytime we bring up safeties on our show, he looks at me like, why are we talking about this?
You wouldn't have a conversation about Starks at 12, right, from Georgia? Because I would not. I am probably lower on Starks than the rest of.
Have you seen Mabuka play?
I got the kid from Texas higher.
I think Watts is better. I think Makuba's better from Texas too.
Makuba's my safety 1. I got him higher than Starks.
I mean, I think he's just more physical. I see Starks miss a lot of tackles, and you see him miss tackles in big games. Yeah. That first half against Alabama was bad, and against Notre Dame in the bowl game, missed some plays.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. Like you see some athleticism, but I loved Xavier Watts' tape out of Notre Dame.
Oh no, his tape's really good.
His tape is good. With him.
Watts is so odd of being able to find the football from roaming around. It
goes to him.
When we think of these ball hawking guys, we're normally thinking like a one high safety or maybe somebody that can get from the middle of the field to the numbers, hashes to the numbers. He'll be roaming around, hook and curl, end up in the flats and just catch a pick over there. Just he finds the football. It's so magnetic to him, and that's why I have him ranked higher than some of these other safeties, and that's why I got the safety from Texas there. I got him higher than Starks. Starks doesn't really gravitate towards picks to me. I think Starks has the size that these teams may want. He's versatile. He can do some man cover stuff. But if I'm drafting a safety, I want a dude that gets picks. I want a ball hawking safety. I think that's the kid from Texas. I just can't say his last name.
Makuba.
Makuba.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Andrew Makuba.
Transfer from Clemson and was absolutely brilliant this year. Okay, last one. This is a personal question here because I'm seeing a lot of wide receiver buzz.
You're not going to leave yourself any time for this mock draft, are you?
No, and then we're going to break. No, we're going to be good. If you had to take a wide receiver at 12, not named Tez McMillan, who you taking?
Ted McMillan.
Ted, yeah, sorry. I'm thinking Tez Johnson because we're watching him over here. Not named McMillan because I don't think he's getting there.
I think Luther Burden gives you the best opportunity to get a bona fide dude at wide receiver that probably fits what you're trying to do here at the Cowboys. I'm going with him.
I agree with Burden, man, but Ibuka makes a lot of sense for Ohio State too, because he's played second fiddle all his whole career. Never complained about it one time. Has played at a very, very high level to make himself a first-round player, being a guy that's been a Robin to a lot of really great Batmans at Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm with you on Ibuka. I think he'd be my guy. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, 3-round mock draft, war room style. Let's do this. That's next on the Draft Show.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good, and I was getting frustrated from wearing my glasses all day. I went to Laser Care Eye Center, and Dr. G talked about all the options. Thanks to technology and Laser Care Eye Center, I can see near, far, and between. Don't fumble your vision any longer. Visit them at dfweyes.com and tell them Darren sent you. They got me back on my game.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Here we go. Tyler from Dude Perfect here. Big news. We just dropped our very own Dude Perfect smoothie with Smoothie King.
We is strong. It's my recipe.
Technically, we all came up with it, Kobe?
I mean, you put a potato in yours.
I was experimenting.
Yeah, we picked up on that. Guys, this is fruit smoothie perfection. I even heard it recently quoted that it was food perfect.
Yeah, I was the one that said that.
Oh, that's funny. It's punny.
Thank you. Anyways, get the Dude Perfect smoothie only at Smoothie King.
My smoothie.
How about them Cowboys? Or how about them Tyson Cowboys Nuggets? As we cheer for the stars on the field, we love that we've also got some stars on our plate, thanks to Tyson brand star-shaped Cowboys Nuggets. That, along with all our other favorite Tyson Foods products, sure make game day special. Score some delicious Tyson Cowboys Nuggets and become a game day star, just like our Cowboys. As you enjoy your stars on and off the plate, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Come on out to AT&T Stadium on February 22nd for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship Series.
Super.
Watch the world's best two-wheel racers converge for one night of non-stop action. Enjoy unprecedented access to the sport's biggest stars with an up-close view of the race, bikes, and team rigs at FanFest. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. Final segment here of today's draft show. Zach Wolchuk, Voch Lombardi, Bryan Broaddus with you. Let's do a little War Room mock draft edition as I've got the simulator up. Cowboys on the clock at pick 12. You've got Cam Ward. He goes number 1 to the Titans. Travis Hunter, cornerback, Colorado, or receiver off the board, goes to the Browns at 2. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Giants at 3. Abdul Carter, edge, Penn State, off the board, goes to the Pats. Followed by Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. He goes to the Jags. Tet McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona, is a Raider at 6. Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, off the board at 7 to the Jets, Jets. Malachi Starks. Oh, that's a pen throw. Gosh darn it. I was hoping he'd get to 12. He goes 8 to the Carolina Panthers. Will Campbell, LSU, staying home. He's going to the Saints at 9.
Go Tigers.
Then we got 2 edge rushers. James Pierce Jr., the edge from Tennessee, to the Bears at 10.
And they still haven't got anybody to block for that quarterback.
No. Okay. And then Mike Green, edge, Marshall, goes to the Niners right before the Cowboys pick at 11. So, boys, Ashton Genty on the board. Luther Burden, wide receiver, Mizzou, on the board. Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. Kelvin Banks, tackle or guard from Texas, is there. Ibuka is there. Kenneth Grant is available, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
I'm looking at my board here, Zach, and I don't want to window dress now because I don't want Bryan Broaddus to shame me here. We have a variable here. If Dr. Cooper taps me on the sholders and says we good, Josh Simmons is my best player on my board right now.
Yeah. You mean
left tackle from Ohio State.
You know what? I would hate to. I don't even want to jump tags. I don't even want to think about jumping tags. But I think that to me, with Genty, unbelievable player. I think if you've got a real plan for what you want to do at offensive tackle, Simmons could come in here. I mean, if you want to say, okay, we're going to move on from our our right tackle, we're going to move Guyton over, or we're going to make Guyton a swing or whatever. Simmons is one of those guys that could take me off Genty.
Yep.
Okay. He's that kind of player.
Yeah.
Cowboys first round offensive lineman reputation will be right back good if you can get Simmons up here. I think Simmons is a bona fide dude. I think he's the best tackle in the draft as a run blocker, pass blocker, athlete. He does all the blocks, reach blocks, down blocks, second level blocks, and he's powerful while he's run blocking. Hands and feet technique guy.
Yeah.
I'm in this class where we're having problems finding tackles we like.
Yeah, if you told me that, hey, I have a chance to pick the best offensive tackle on the board, then I'm going to take the best offensive tackle on the board, and Simmons would be that guy for me. And I love Genty, and I think that Genty is going to have a hell of a career. But I think that much of Simmons that I would take him over Genty.
So why not Burden for you, Bryan, right now?
I'd be looking at, personally, I'd take Igbuka over Burden. I get the yak. I get the explosiveness. I think Igbuka is going to be a really good pro. I think he's clean. I love the idea of pairing him with CeeDee Lamb. I don't have the concern about him being a slot-only player.
Sure.
I saw him his freshman year went on the outside when Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I get he was hurt the majority of that season, but he can win outside. But Simmons, I'm with you guys. He's the best tackle in the draft.
If you have a plan, I mean, to me, this kid could come in, he plays left tackle. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do with Guyton.
Sure. Yeah.
You have to figure that out. If you don't have a good plan with Guyton, let's take Genty and move on, But please tell me, because if you take Simmons, you're going to have something,
And you wouldn't consider Banks out of Texas. It would be Simmons only.
Give me Simmons over Banks all day.
On my board is Simmons, Burden, Ohio State, Igbuka, then I got Kelvin Banks.
And we're gonna have and Tyler Warren. I know you guys wouldn't want. I would have Warren up there on my board, but I don't think I'd take a tight end here.
And just for reference, Bryan has Banks as a guard.
Yeah.
So you got to think about it, kind of from that way there. So is he going to be the right guard for you, or do you draft a tackle and put him next to Tyler Smith and BB and fortifying that left side? So both these players, whether it be Simmons or Banks, they have different plans. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's no world where Simmons comes and plays right guard for you.
Right.
He's a true tackle.
Tackle.
He is.
So,
you two want to go with Josh Simmons here?
I'm going with Josh Simmons. You can fight for a book if you want. You can cuss us out.
No, I would take Genty. I would just stick with the best player here, and I would just take Ashton Genty. But I'm totally always fine with building in the trench. It sounds like both of you want to go Simmons.
Do we have a plan? Do we have a plan for Simmons?
We'd start him at left tackle. And then we're going to have Guyton and Steele compete on the right side.
If Steele is on his team, I'm just kind of sitting Guyton. I think the worst thing that happened to Guyton was Tyron Smith left. So you just have to just throw Guyton directly in the fire. I think Guyton would have really benefited from just sitting down 1 year. And I think he'll have the same problems on the left side as he'll have on the right side, honestly. And we got some new coaching in here. I don't know what Schottenheimer thinks about Guyton, but if Schottenheimer's working out at Ohio State and he sees Simmons moving around and Dr. Cooper says you good to go, then I don't see why you would be attached to Guyton in that way.
I'd take Simmons.
I'm taking Simmons.
All right. Josh Simmons is the pick there at 12 for the Cowboys as we have the simulator.
I'm praying the
you guys
football
be
Lord
sick.
that running back gets
Let's hope that the running back is available. Okay, Xavier Watts went right before the Cowboys pick. So did Gray Zabel, the North Dakota State guard/tackle to the Jets. Princely, the edge rusher from Ole Miss is gone. JTT is gone from Ohio State. Donovan Izurokwu from Boston College is gone. Barron's gone.
Who are my running backs?
Right now.
That's available right now.
Your running backs. Cam Scatterbo is available if you're interested there. You do have Dylan Sampson. Caleb Johnson still on the board. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa is still there. So is Travion Henderson out of Ohio State.
Can you give me
any other position you want to look at?
Yeah, give me a wide receiver.
Okay. Savion Williams is there.
Okay. Give me a defensive tackle, one technique.
Okay. Defensive tackles. Let's take a look here.
Give me about 3 of those tackles so I can know.
Norman Lott.
Okay.
Alfred Collins.
Okay.
Texas.
Yeah.
Walker out of Kentucky.
Give me 2 more names at wide receiver. I'm thinking running back right now. I'm opting for
I think Johnson. I'm just trying to justify not taking Johnson here.
You got Jalen Royals, Utah State, Jack Besh out of TCU, Higgins out of Iowa State.
Okay, Besh would be your X. That would be your X.
He would be, but just board wise, I got Johnson way ahead of all the guys that he's mentioned.
I think you're right.
I think Johnson would be. You do have Jahad Campbell,
linebacker. Jahad Campbell's there
from Alabama. He's the best rated player left.
I'm gonna have to live with Leofow and get this running back, man. I'm going Caleb. I think these other running backs are fine. Like Harvey, Sampson, Henderson, those guys are fine.
Okay.
I think the last dynamic running back, and like you said, Zach, they're not superstar like Genty, but I do think that Johnson and Hampton are dynamic. And if I have an opportunity to get one of those guys after passing on Genty, I think Johnson's the right pick.
I think when you get past Johnson and Hampton, you're starting to talk about guys you're having to pair with other running backs.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll take Johnson.
I'll take Caleb Johnson as well. Okay, so you got Josh Simmons, you got your running back, and Caleb Johnson. Now we go all the way to round 3. Besh is gone. A lot of Fannon's gone. The tight end Walker's gone. Booker's gone. The guard from Alabama, Maxwell Hairston, the corner out of Kentucky, went right before you. So
he's had a good Senior Bowl, by the way. That's a sticky dude.
He's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking now. You've got a tackle. You've got a runner.
Yep.
Gunnar Helm, tight end Texas, is on the board.
That's kind of where I got him.
Isaiah Bond still there, wide receiver out of Texas.
Don't even say his name no more. Go ahead.
Your William and Mary tackle, Charles Grant's hanging out. Azrae Thomas, cornerback, Florida State.
Wide receivers?
Derek Harmon still there, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Tez Johnson is available from Oregon. Trey Harris, Ole Miss, is still there as well.
I'm thinking Tez Johnson and Derek Harmon off the bat right here, but let's just talk about it. What do my edges look like? What do my edges? Makuba's there.
Is there?
I got a first round pick on Makuba.
You got a first round grade on Makuba. Okay.
But I don't know if it's gonna fall like this. He might be gone, but I don't know.
The edges are.
What my edges look like?
Josiah Stewart from Michigan.
He's a third round guy. He's the top of the third round guy. He can rush.
Rucker from North Carolina. I can't say I've watched him yet.
Kymon Rucker. He's a pass rusher, not really a run down guy, but keep going.
Ashton Gillotti.
He's more of a
fourth round guy for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One guy that I did like at the Senior Bowl, Antoine Powell-Ryland, the edge from Virginia Tech's there, but I think this might be a little early.
Okay, so we're not looking at edge no more. Right,
yeah, the edges aren't really screaming at me.
Linebacker is
linebacker
Schlesinger or Knight available?
They're both gone.
Okay,
you do have Barrett Carter from Clemson.
I tell you what, he will drive you nuts because he really lacks instinct.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I just had to say that. I know you guys need to watch him, but you're going to watch. He's a guy that when you watch him play, it's amazing how often the ball goes right past him, where he's just not aware of what's happening around him.
I think the conversation comes down to the 2 players from Oregon.
What about Jacob Parrish from Kansas State?
I like the player, but compared to Tez Johnson or Derek Harmon, I don't think he's in this conversation.
I mean, I got Harmon as my number 2 defensive tackle. I think I would absolutely take him here. He would be the dude that I'd probably lean for.
Is he more of a 1 or a 3?
I think he's a 1 that gives you some pass rush ability.
Okay. And you said Campbell's still on the board? Not at this point.
No, not anymore. He was in the second round.
In the second round, he was.
He's gone. The linebackers are pretty wiped. I mean, I don't think there's a linebacker that we like enough here. And Bo's there, the tackle but we've already taken an offensive tackle.
Yeah, him. And I think at this point,
we blew it. I think we should have gone a different position.
I think we've done fine. You just got to live with the idea that whether one tech or wide receiver, the one that you don't pick, you're probably going to be wiped out there. But we've been watching these bowls, the bowl games and practices and all that. Can we live with one of these guys that we've been seeing lately? Jordan Phillips, CJ West. Can we live with one of those guys playing one tech for us and get Tez Johnson at receiver? And Tez, I got him in the second round. So for him being here in the third, I think that's some value for him. Pairs with CeeDee Lamb really well.
He does. I know you want
big speed.
I'd go with the other Oregon kid. I'd take Harmon here. That would be my vote.
You know what? I've got to do something about some of these defensive tackles.
Shamar Turner's still there from A&M. Is that good value here, you think?
I'm good on.
I didn't love his tape, but
no,
I'm good.
He's looking like a different player at the Senior Bowl.
I got Harmon in the second round. I mean,
I'm top of the second. JJ Pegues is there from Ole Miss.
I can live with either, whether it be the wide receiver Johnson or the tackle Harmon. I can live with either, but I'm going to put my vote in for the receiver. But I don't hate either one.
I do think it's deeper when I'm looking at the defensive tackles available compared to the wide receivers available.
That's my point. I think there's a lot more tackles than wide receivers. But
do we need an X? I mean, are we talking about the X?
Not an X.
No, I mean, the X's that you like will be gone. This is all like slot quick dude situations going on right here.
Ricky White from UNLV. Could you wait and snag him?
You already got Jalen Tolbert.
If you're drafting, let me just ask you, if you're drafting Johnson from Oregon, are you been thinking about tendering? I mean, you have to tender Turpin.
Yeah, are you just
is it the same guy?
I'm going to lose
I'm just the same type of player.
I think Johnson does a lot more wide receiver things than Turpin, but they're the same type of bursty, explosive guy. Sure.
So we're tendering a guy like a second round, but also drafting another receiver that's very similar.
That's fair. Let's go Harmon then.
All right, I'm in on Harmon.
And I wouldn't even think Harmon will even be here. So if Harmon's here, then I'm doing a little dance that I can get him in the third.
Yeah,
I like it. R.J. Harvey was the last pick there in the third round. So overall,
but we stuck with Jalen Brooks and them. So
we did. We ended up getting an offensive tackle.
Sure.
Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Caleb Johnson fell to us at 44, the running back out of Iowa. And then Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, able to make it there at pick 76. Yep. I think we're feeling pretty good about that haul in the first 3 rounds.
The way that fell for me was 1, 2, 2 on my rounds.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, likewise. 1, 2, 2. I feel good about it. And guys, we did it.
You actually moved that thing along, man. I'm proud of you for doing that.
You did a good job, guys.
I thought we was going to fight a little more.
I did.
We did good.
Let's go. Any final thoughts before we boogie out of here?
No, I mean, it just goes to show you, though, that I'm just going to say this. I hated trading away from, or not trading, but
moving away from Janty.
I hated it.
Yeah.
But Simmons,
nice reward.
Simmons is one of the guys that I absolutely love in this draft, the Ohio State tackle.
Yeah.
So Genty, I mean, God, I'm just gonna hold my breath and hope for the best.
So this would be about, hey, you go to the combine with him, and then you get the medicals.
Yeah.
How's the medical clear?
Yeah, Dr. Cooper and all the other 31 other teams are gonna pull and push and see how it all is. And if you get a clean bill of health and away you go, I could say I'm green lighting that thing. But if there's any kind of complications, we need to figure out if there are complications. If there's something like, potentially it could be degenerate and all that, blah, 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 that stuff that goes on long term and stuff, then that might make our determination of drafting Genty a little bit easier.
If Dr. Cooper taps you on the shoulder and says Simmons is no good, at that point in this draft, do you go Burden or Genty?
Yeah, I would go Genty there.
I'd go Genty too.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what it is about Burden. I'm scared. I love the yak.
You don't see him do a bunch of wide receiver things, but I think yak is the purest form of football you could possibly have.
Yeah.
But in the league, you want the stuff that translates, and that's route running and that's awareness and like body control and stuff like that.
I could see him getting bullied a little bit on the outside.
You need your offense coordinator to believe in motions and tight splits.
Yeah, you're going to have to move.
Condensed offense.
Is that a lot of what you're doing with CD? Like, I don't know that Burden fits as well.
See, I was trying to argue that go get an X maybe at 44.
Yeah.
It was somebody on the other side.
That Stanford kid would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right.
You kid best, yeah.
This has been a blast, guys. I enjoyed it.
Real quick. Could Royals, Utah State play X for you?
He could do it sometimes, but I wouldn't do it a whole bunch.
I got you.
Yeah, I think
because he's physical.
I like him for.
I like the
maybe it's my old
too.
1990s football. That's what I'm thinking about.
What round did he go?
Build.
Second?
He ended up going to the second round in this mock draft scenario. Yeah.
I got a third on him, but he might be a second.
Maybe he rises with the Senior Bowl. This has been a blast. Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi. I'm Zach Wolchuk. We got another bonus edition of the draft show coming up later today. Our buddies in Mobile are going to handle that one with Kyle Yeomans, Nick Harris. We got Tommy Yarish, and then Bobby Bell's going to be working the Shrine Bowl tonight. You can catch that on NFL Network. And then, of course, the Senior Bowl, which will be on Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much. We love you until next Tuesday, or really later this afternoon. Hugs and ham pounds, everybody.
Work on.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.